All these damn rules in the Army. There's a rule for this, there's a rule for that. There's rules that I can't do this thing in the Army, I can't do that thing in the Army. Why? Why on earth do I have so many damn rules? And what's even the point of some of these rules? Well, I have 5 specific ones that I can definitely think of, right? When I'm thinking of some rules, maybe they're crazy rules, maybe they're not so crazy rules. I guess it depends on who you're talking to, but you know, you may want to know, why on earth is that even a rule in the first place? I feel like for this first one, I gotta start off with like probably the most obvious one that some people question is, why is it a rule that I can't have my hands in my pockets? That's dumb. I mean, especially with like the Air Force. The Air Force now allows it, and if you're in the Air Force, you can put your hands in your pockets, which is also very fitting because, you know, a lot of times when you had your hands in your pockets, people would call them Air Force gloves, right? But in the Army, as of right now, it's still a thing that you're not allowed to do. But why? Why on earth can't I do something like that? I mean, technically based on the regulation, you can do it momentarily, right? You can be having your hands in your pockets to grab your keys out, to grab your phone out, to retrieve something from your pocket. But if you just want to hang out with your hands in your pockets because your hands are cold or you're just as comfortable type of thing, you can't do that. And some people question, why on earth is that even a thing in the first place? This rule, and probably a lot of these rules, probably usually fall back on the excuse or the reasoning of discipline, right? It just goes back to good discipline, right? You talk to some old school people or whatever, and it's like, you know what, a disciplined soldier is gonna not have their hands in their pockets, they're not gonna do this, they're not gonna do that, and that's gonna be the reason, right? But there's possibly other reasons potentially of why on earth you can't have your hands in your pockets. One, for example, might be, you know, for readiness, right? They say that, you know, you don't want to be hanging out with your hands in your pockets, an officer walks by and it took you too long to get your damn hands in your pockets to render a salute, right? That's probably a little bit more legitimate than just simply discipline, and other things are just being prepared. Maybe, hey, you got your hands in your pockets and someone's sneaking up behind you, they're about to wrap a cord around your neck and choke you out. Well, now your hands were stuck in your pockets, you couldn't get them out fast enough to stop them, right? Whatever you got to do to stop them from choking you out, I guess. Maybe not necessarily that, but they may follow that into that kind of category of just being ready, right? Maybe one day the Army will kind of get on the same page as like the Air Force, and they'll be like, you know what? Screw it. You can have your hands in your pockets as long as you're not doing this or that. Maybe have some kind of rules with it. I think it'd be okay. I think it'd be fine to have certain environments, certain kind of moments where it's okay to have your hands in your pockets, right? But I mean, as long as you can get your hand out of your pocket fast enough to render a salute to stop someone from choking you out, you'd be fine. You'd be good. No worries. Maybe a little bit more of a lesser known rule that people may not be aware of. Maybe they are, I don't know. But that you as a soldier that say you're an E3, E4, right? And you're walking with someone who's an E5, a higher ranking individual, and you're walking with a sergeant, right? Well, you are supposed to be on their left-hand side when walking with them. So if you're walking next to someone, that person you're walking with is higher ranking than you, you're supposed to be on their left side. If you are higher ranking than them, then you're supposed to be on their right-hand side. And why on earth does it really matter what freaking side of that person I'm walking on? This one has a lot more of like an ancient kind of reasoning behind it, of back in the day of men carrying like shields on their left arm. You got your sword to your left and you got to pull your sword out with your right hand type of thing. And if the higher ranking, more important, I don't know, more authority person, right, was to your right and you're walking on their left, well, you're easily able to kind of protect them. You're able to put that shield up, draw your sword type of thing, and kind of protect that higher ranking person. And I think that's just like an old school kind of method that kind of just continue to carry over of keeping the higher ranking person to your right so that way the lower ranking person can protect the higher ranking person. I mean, that's even kind of like with the salute. Like the salute whole thing is like comes from like, I think knights wearing armor and they have the face mask on and they're showing their face so they can show that they're friendlies to other people type of thing. And that's how the salute kind of came about type of thing. So there are old school things that just kind of translate into modern day and continue to be rules. So you staying to the left-hand side of that higher ranking person is to protect them, right? Keep them safe, right? You got that fragile, lieutenant. You're walking with that lieutenant, and you got to keep that lieutenant safe, right? You got to make sure they don't get their fingers stuck in something or wander off and get lost or whatever. But at the same time, keep to their left and make sure that they're they're safe and well protected with you by their left-hand side. So an Army soldier is actually not allowed to walk and talk on a cell phone. They can't be walking while in uniform, at least. In uniform, walking and talking on a cell phone.
Wait a minute there now, Mr. Chaos. I was looking through that there 670-1 manual you're referencing and talking about there, and I can't find anywhere in there where it says that I can't walk and talk on a cell phone. I even did a search for cell phone, and I can't find what you're talking about now, mister.
Okay, no, it doesn't exactly say cell phone. The verbiage is actually something along the lines of no walking and using an electronic device. So it's kind of future-proofing things. It's trying to prevent people from using some kind of futuristic technology of the embedded thing in their head, or maybe some glasses that they can talk on the phone with. That actually already exists. But, it's trying to future-proof things. No walking while talking on an electronic device, or no walking and using an electronic device.
Wait a minute now. Are you saying here, Mr. Chaos, that I can't be walking around out there in the field, out there on the battlefield, walking and using a dagger, try to get my bearings and figure out where the hell I'm at? I can't be walking around in uniform while on my SINGAR's radio trying to give a frontline trace, trying to do a fire mission, trying to give a spot report while walking around? Is that what you're saying here, Mr. Chaos?
Oh my God. All right, so if it's for military purposes, it's for, something official type of thing, like being out in the field, being in a combat zone and using a dagger, talking on the radio, that's using military equipment. So that's okay. If you're walking and talking while using military equipment, you're walking while using military equipment, that's fine. They just don't want soldiers walking around while in uniform, just, chatting on the cell phones and talking on their cell phones and texting on the cell phones and playing Pokemon Go on their cell phones or whatever the hell they're doing.
Bro. That's cap, bro. That's cap, bro. I totally remember my recruiter walking around in uniform, talking on his cell phone. So that's cap, bro. Cap.
The recruiter probably gets away with it, probably because, one, he's a recruiter, nobody really gives a shit what the recruiter does. But two, maybe you can make an argument that, they're using it for official government purposes, kind of like the previous example with using the dagger, using the radio. It's official military purposes type of thing. You playing Pokemon Go, checking your Instagram while you're walking to the motor pool, talking to your buddy while walking to wherever you're going to in uniform is not for official business, so it's not allowed. So why? Why on earth can't I just walk and talk while using my cell phone in uniform? Be texting on, my phone while walking in uniform type of thing? Part of that probably goes back to a lot of it, again, discipline, as I was saying with a lot of these probably, but probably the more important one is just making sure that soldiers are paying attention, right? If you're so focused on that electronic device, you're texting, you're walking, you're looking for Pokemon, right? Then you may not notice that lieutenant colonel that's about to walk past you and be able to render salute type of thing. And so a lot of it probably comes to making sure that you're aware of your surroundings, you're paying attention, and it kind of just helps kind of build that habit, especially like in a combat zone, right? If you're goofing around with something while you're walking around and you're not paying attention to your surroundings, you might have something bad happen to you. I don't know. So it's kind of like building that into your memory, into your habits of, hey, I need to be paying attention when I'm, walking around type of thing, not being distracted by my cell phone or whatever. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of civilian people that walk out into traffic because they were so focused on their cell phone, and they're trying to prevent soldiers from kind of, a similar type of situation. I mean, not necessarily walking out into traffic, but all sorts of environments, because you should be paying attention, right? Paying attention to salute that officer, paying attention to what's going on around you, paying attention to make sure that you're not so distracted with something else that you're oblivious to the things going on around you. So it's about paying attention. Really, essentially, something along those lines, I guess. But also, that also involves like walking and eating, drinking, smoking, all that stuff. You're not allowed to do any of that stuff while walking. You're supposed to just take a phone call, to smoke, to eat, come to a complete stop, do what you got to do, and then move on with your life. But walking and multitasking and doing those things could cause you to not be paying attention to your surroundings. So, all right. Pay attention. Cool. Here's always a fun one to kind of mention and talk about. Don't say repeat on the radio. Why on earth am I not allowed to say the word repeat on the radio? This one is mainly to build like a habit, right? You have not saying that word, because that word in the fires world of a fire mission going on, right? Artillery, the individuals that are firing the big cannons, the big guns, right, to make big explodies, right? Explosions and blowing up people and equipment and whatever they're blowing up with their fire missions. Well, when you're saying the word repeat on the radio in that context, because it's a fire mission, that repeat word means to repeat the last fire mission, right? Do that fire mission again, right? I told them to fire at this specific grid coordinate, and maybe I need them to do that again. Then they may make it easier and tell them to repeat, right? And that allows them to refire that fire mission. Now, are you going to have to worry about that? You're trying to do a commo check with someone. You're trying to do something, on the radio and just trying to execute your mission, and you didn't hear what the hell they said, right? That's mostly the common kind of time where this could possibly happen. You couldn't understand them because they've got a crazy, thick Southern accent, or just the radio sucks and you can't understand what the hell they're saying. You got hearing loss from, the ranges and stuff. And you're like, what was that? Repeat that again, right? Is what you're supposed to say is supposed to say again, right? You're not supposed to use the word repeat. You're supposed to use the word say again. Now, as I was kind of getting to, it's not like you're going to be on the radio net and there happens to be a fire mission going on and you couldn't understand what the hell that person said and you said repeat, and then some fires dude like, oh man, quick, fire that fire mission again. Probably not, okay? Probably not, because typically in those environments, they usually have like a separate radio net. You probably have like a fires net type of thing, because you don't want all the regular radio chatter kind of happening with people talking about radio checks and talking about, hey, we're going to start movement and we're going to start doing this and we're going to start doing that. And then at the same time, they're trying to listen for fire missions. So they usually have like a dedicated net for that. But it's to build discipline, and it's to kind of build that habit. So that way, for whatever reason, if you were on the radio, on that time frame, when, fire missions are going on, maybe you're on that frequency for whatever reason, hopefully you've gotten into the habit of never saying repeat, so that way you won't have that situation. But like I said, the likelihood of you being in that scenario, especially if you're not a fires person, right? You're just, an 88 mic truck driver, you're a cook, you're a commo person, whatever, then you'd probably be okay, right? But it's to build that habit, so that way hopefully you don't end up accidentally letting that slip the wrong time and someone somehow gets it across. I don't know, maybe you could have a scenario where the dude next to you, he's on the radio, right? And he's talking, doing fires mission, and you said repeat because you couldn't hear what they were saying, and the person that was on that other radio heard you say, I don't know, man, it's a weird rule. It's to build habits, okay? It's to build a habit. Don't say repeat on the radio, okay? Don't worry about it. Just don't say it. Say again. That's the terminology you're supposed to use.
Oh man, I wonder if he's going to bring up the whole no walking on the sergeant major's grass. Why is that even a rule in the first place?
Great question. I don't know. Like and subscribe though. All right, cool. No, I'm just kidding. Discipline, right? The sergeant major wants you to be disciplined soldiers, but there is, again, probably something that's a little bit better of an answer than simply just, you got to be disciplined to not walk on the sergeant major's grass, not walk in this grassy area type of thing. This one probably, like, if you think about it, if you have like dogs, right? If you're a dog owner out there, you have a backyard, it's got some grass in the backyard, there's a fence back there. Think about your backyard, right? Your dogs possibly, run up and down that fence, barking at people going by and stuff like that. And they've got a good little trail going into your grass from those dogs running up and down the side of the fence line type of thing. And kind of in a similar kind of fashion, if you have like a specific spot on this grassy area where you constantly have soldiers like cutting across the grass and using this area, it's probably going to start to create kind of like a trail across that grass, and it's going to jack up that grass. So you got to keep the grass looking nice, right? We got a lot of things in the Army that are broken, jacked up. We got to keep some stuff nice, all right? And maybe the lawn in front of the sergeant major's office, in front of battalion, brigade, is one of those areas we got to keep nice, and it's got grass. So you stay on the sidewalk. You stick to the sidewalk areas to keep that discipline of soldiers using the sidewalk, using those specific areas that they're supposed to use, and not creating these random trails because they're constantly cutting across the grass and jacking up the sergeant major's grass. So stay off the grass, okay? We don't need those extra trails. But discipline, again, going back to discipline probably. Be disciplined and just use the sidewalk, all right? Just use the sidewalk. Now, I'm sure I got some old school Army veterans from the 80s, the 90s, when back in my day, discipline was important, which, I mean, discipline is important. I guess that's true. But I'm sure you're probably going to want to just dying, just itching to tell me why, you know, those rules are in place and I got it wrong, maybe. Maybe that's not why the rule's in place. You know what? If you got a better explanation, I want to hear it. I want to hear those explanations. But beyond that, right, what are some other things? Maybe we got some crazy rules out there that we have to do in the Army, and you got a good explanation as to why it's a rule. I want to hear about that down in the comment section down below. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about some of these crazy rules that we've got in the Army, and maybe try to justify why those are rules in the first place. So I want to hear about it down in the comment section down below. If you want to support the channel, there's many ways that you can do so. You can become an awesome member of Chaos Elite. You can do a super thanks. You can do all sorts of things, right? Share the video, that's free. Subscribe to the video, that's free. Thumbs up, all that stuff, right? Free ways. There's ways you can also support monetarily, ways you can do so. So whichever way you want to do so, I greatly appreciate you for doing so. Thanks for watching. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.
Now, if you were thinking about leaving the video, think again, partner. There's this video right here that needs a watching. So click it now.